Building the right foundation. Our platform has helped entrepreneurs around the world strategize and execute their startup plans across a variety of industries. We have had over 1,000 startups go through our program and successfully raise over $1 billion of investment. Through these journeys, we have been able to pinpoint common pitfalls that steer an entrepreneur off track. To begin your entrepreneurial journey, we will start by focusing on building the right foundation for your startup. In this lesson, you're going to learn critical information that will help you save time, avoid headaches, and ultimately ensure your startup builds the strongest possible foundation to succeed in the future. Amongst other factors, there is one thing that successful companies such as Apple, Amazon, and Tesla have in common. They all started with a solid foundation. Together, we will establish the core of your business that you will later build your solid foundation upon. You need to lay your foundation in the best possible location, or you might end up like the next Leaning Tower of Pisa. There are actually two basic parts to the question of location. 1. Incorporation, and 2. Operation. Where to incorporate? Incorporation is when you register and file the necessary incorporation documents of the entity with the government in that location. The entity is a legal, non-natural person who needs to obey the law, pay its taxes, and to do no harm to workers or the environment. Most people incorporate their entity where they live or where they want to live. Pause to consider the strength of the legal system to protect the entity and its shareholders. To determine which place is optimal for you and your startup requires in-depth research. Consider working with a good lawyer and accountant to help you make this decision wisely. Where to operate. Where you actually register an office or offices and where you operate your business may or may not be in the same place. This is another thing to puzzle through with a good lawyer and a good accountant. Alternatively, you may consider engaging a corporate secretary instead. Increasing numbers of corporate secretarial firms boast in-house lawyers and accountants. Having both lawyer and accountant under the same roof serves to reduce your costs and keeps the communication loop of your team tighter than having to engage both separately. Bear in mind the above pointers for a good lawyer and accountant when interviewing the corporate secretarial team. What is in a name? Company name and domain name. The company name, as well as its products, services, and offerings, is important. There are a few rules of thumb that you should consider, but there are a million things that matter more. There is always time to come up with the right name. Don't invest too much time on the company or product name in the beginning. Instead, consider giving your idea a stealth project name like Project X, where X is the code word for your product or startup. Sometimes this helps to focus energies on what's important instead of getting distracted with coming up with the perfect name. Conversely, you may find yourself loving a particular name for your company or product or both, and the name may serve you as a catalyst for defining the product or company. Either which way, there is no right or wrong strategy. Go with the flow, and then eventually it should all come together. Once your incorporation, operation, lawyers, accountants, names, and other foundational basics are in order, then you should think about the mission-critical matter of ownership and crucial agreements. If your startup is still in the formation stage where you're brainstorming ideas, then an important document to consider is a pre-shareholders agreement, which simply solicits an initial commitment from your team members. If your startup is in the process of validation, execution, and getting more mature, then you will need to create a founder-shareholders agreement. This is an agreement between the current owners of an entity and someone who is becoming a shareholder by investment. If you don't have an agreement between founders for who will do what to earn their ownership, then you might find yourself in the common boat of one founder doing little work and expecting an equal share, while another founder is working hard to pick up the slack and ending up doing most of the work. This can lead to fighting and failures on the team and in the entity. Accountability is critical. As a rule of thumb for agreements, if it isn't written, it isn't real or defensible in a court of law.